Welcome back. My name is Giverson Maina, and this is Gmail. Of course, my guest today is a media analyst, political commentator, Shaban Natembea, one man from Emanyuria village, somewhere in Kakamega, right?
Yes, sir.
Now we're talking issues here. Food crisis in Kenya is bursting. External borrowing, and Uhuru Kenyatta is in China, and he has made a deal. He has borrowed some more, maybe to construct some roads in Emanyuria. Let's go on. You know, Baba is in China, and he has made another deal. I had a speculation, 20 billion external borrowing. Where are we heading to?
Okay, borrowing is not an issue. From where I sit, borrowing is not an issue. In fact, there is no any country, especially in the so-called developing countries.
We are going to borrow tomorrow, even food.
No, it's not an issue, borrowing, as I've told you. Because even it also happens in our normal life. There are sometimes you can face some financial challenges. And coming to borrow me as your friend, I don't see if there is a new thing. It's normal.
Every day, borrowing every day?
But what raises question is, how is that money being spent? So the way that money is being spent, or the project that are being funded by that money, that's what now we should focus on. If they are only being used to fund ghost project, then we have to question whoever borrowed that money. But borrowing, we have to borrow. That's how life was designed.
You know, something like SGR. You know, people say it costed over 200 billion. It's too much.
Billion.
It's too much. When shall SGR pay back the price of 200 billion? When?
As I've told you, to borrow, there is no problem with borrowing. But if now...
The problem is paying back.
No, paying back is not a problem, because I know the moment you go to borrow, there are some terms and conditions that you are being given by your lender, isn't it? I know there are those issues that have to happen. It also happens in our local banks.
Yeah.
But the problem is, if they can be able to use this money well to fund this project, it means in the meantime, they'll be in a position to pay what they had borrowed by the money that they get from the project that they have used that money to build.
But Jubilee government, all they have done, construct roads, construct SGR, bring electricity to rural homes. And this money is from borrowing. What have they done differently? They keep on borrowing, and they say we are constructing here and there, and this is not our money. These are loans.
Okay, from the money that was borrowed, I can see there are some things that actually Jubilee has done. For example, SGR, we can see there are some things that have been done, although it has not yet complete, but at least they have done something.
So you're saying we wait and see?
It's not bad to borrow. Let's borrow.
Let's
borrow. But let's be honest on how we use it. We should not borrow only to benefit a few people at the expense of the majority of Kenyans. That's unfair, because all of us, even the children that we have not, they had to be born, they will have to pay that. And that's why I think we should use that money to build a better future for them, so that the moment they come in, even if they will have to pay that money, but they can see how it was used.
Do you think Jubilee government have used that money from China, from India? Do you think they have used it well?
It has used, I think it goes in equal measures. They have misappropriated, and at the same time they have used it well. So it depends on whom are you asking that question, or whom are you telling that detail, because it depends here.
Now another issue, where is Africa, all of a sudden all African governments, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, all of them are facing east. And what they say, that when China gives you money, when it gives you a loan, it doesn't follow up like the UK will do, or the US, like other, the Western. The Western they can't follow you. They don't want you to account what you did. Maybe, for example, for SGR. But all of a sudden Kenya is going to China and borrowing billions. What they say is that Jubilee government is maybe stealing a lot of money, and because China don't want anything to do with it. If you want to borrow and go and eat it, borrow and steal, it's not their problem. Is it?
When it comes now to borrowing, or even creating a trading relationship with the European countries, there are some issues that we need to ask ourselves first. Because remember, immediately after the independence, most of the African countries, they used to borrow money from their former colonialists, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think I remember back in independence, or back early in the independence, immediately after the independence, Kenya used to have a very strong relationship with England, because you can remember Kenyan history tells me that we were colonized by the British, isn't it?
Yeah.
But now the Asian countries, they have realized they are not among the so-called the third world countries. They can also produce something. They can also manufacture things. In other words, they have also matured to the same standard with the European countries. And the first thing they can do, that one, is to create a very good rapport with the African countries. For instance, for what you are saying, they give you money, or they will lend you money without necessarily giving you very strong thresholds, so as to lure you into their trap, so that in the long run you will form a very strong relationship with them. And that's why for recently we have seen Kenyan government has been offering a lot of tenders to the Chinese countries. Just because of what? Because of what you are saying. Because Chinese or the Asian country are very clever. You can see even most of the electronic we are using, such as phones, most of them, they are being imported from where? From Asian countries. And I've told you, Asian countries, they have realized they should not be included in that part of the so-called third world country. So this is just a matter of supremacy.
You know what China is looking after? You know, China is for business. They're coming here to make profits.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Like the US or the UK, they're after, you know, trying to help third world countries develop. So like for Kenya is going to China, maybe to, you know, to borrow that money, and China won't come after you, after all. That's why, you know, you keep on hearing like scandals, you know, this money was borrowed from where, it is all of a sudden it's out there.
Do you see how it comes in? It comes in because, okay, they will not give you a very strongest or very minimum thresholds, isn't it? Very maximum thresholds, in other words. But what they will do, they will create during their terms and conditions, they will tell you, but make sure if there is any tender, you give us, you reward us back. Are we together? So you cannot just say they will never come to police you to see, okay, how have you used the money that we gave you? But they will come for what? They'll be rewarded in terms of what? The tender.
But I see a situation where, you know, all of a sudden, we have stopped being colonized by the British or the Western countries. And here, look, China has come, and all of a sudden it has started to colonize Africa, including Kenya. I see is that way.
Kenya, it has to be colonized by the Europeans because we are having demagogues. Those are the people who are leading us. These are the people who are only interested on how now to fatten their own accounts at the expense of the ordinary Kenyan. Because if they will think in another way or in a positive way, if they had a transformative mind, they would have gone to where? To the Europeans, whereby after they have given them the loans, they will come and monitor how do they use it. Because it's like it shows the European countries, they are interested in seeing African countries developing. You can remember the other day.
That's what I'm saying. China has started to colonize, you know, Africa, and we think they're helping us, but look, they're stealing from us.
It has to colonize. I've told you, just because of what? Because of our leaders. Our leaders, they have rotten their minds. They have no idea about the people, the lives of the people, about the children who will come after them. And that's why they will go for this cheaper. And somebody said that cheaper is very expensive, isn't it? So they would rather go for them rather than going to borrow money from US or from Europe. You can remember just last week, what happened to the USA? USA came out and said, the money that you have been funding your health facilities, you have not been using it in the right way. So it did what? It withdrew some money. About how many? About 2 billion.
Yeah.
So that's the way you have said. You know, European and US countries are very good because they will have to come back and monitor how you are using that money. And that's why you see most of the African countries, now they are running away from Europeans and the USA. They are going for where? To the Asians. As you have said, they are not, they are not making sure you use the money that they lend you in the right way.
And all this is Jubilee. For example, like the SGR, you know, like after the completion of the construction of SGR, you know, like China have signed a contract whereby they're going to run these, you know, these SGR as a business for over 25 years. It's not Kenya anymore, it's China. And it's like they're conning us. And all this is Jubilee.
In fact, even it's so amused to hear that the Chinese are coming here to construct our roads. whereby when we have a wash of graduates who have done engineering courses, because this is what, when we talk about, remember Jubilee promised us to create over 1 million jobs. But if now you let the Chinese to come to construct our roads, you try to say that those who had graduated with engineering courses, with technological courses, now they have no room to be given what? The jobs. So, and that's why I'm saying the government has really failed us. It has really disgruntled Kenyans. That's why we need to get back and try to see which way is the right for us.
This is too much. I feel like Jubilee should go home. But do you think NASA is better?
Now it is worst. It is worst. I would advise people, let them even try to see these people that you say they are not as popular as the so-called two horses. Let's now put our focus on them. Maybe through the process we may get one of them who can really take us to the promise and to the land of Canaan. Because NASA itself, most of them, anytime we give them a platform, I've told you in several of these several of these shows that they only do theatrics. They are good in theatrics, my friend. But they will never unveil.
But we saw Raila
their
Odinga.
manifestos. They will never unveil. So,
but Raila Odinga, the other day we saw, he was in Israel.
So I think
at the Wailing Wall, and he was praying. You know, he's the Baba. He's going to take us to Canaan.
So
he's
Baba,
Joshua.
Baba, what does it mean? What does it mean?
He was in Canaan.
No, he's not Joshua at all, and he cannot take us anywhere unless he changed the way they have been doing things as the minority coalition. Because in Kenya Constitution, we don't have anything which is called opposition. We only have the minority, according to the new dispensation.
So you're saying Baba is...
okay, the problem with our politics, we debate on personalities and emotions. That's why we are getting it wrong. Every one of us is getting it wrong just because of that. We are trying to look with which person has the number, instead of going with the person with the ideas, with the transformative ideas, somebody with the software of integrity, somebody who can call a thief a thief.
Miguna, are you saying we vote Miguna?
Not Miguna, but I mean we should change the way we have been voting these people. There's somebody who said that Kenyans are the authors of their own misfortunes, and I will concur with that person 104%. Why am I saying this? Because after every election, or after 5 years, we take mediocres to parliament or even to the state house. Then we come back, we start crying. Yet these people, we beg their money, and that's why we voted for them. We went, we try to siphon out, we try now to filter this person, this my tribesman, this my tribeswoman. So we voted for them. Then we get back and we start crying. So until we need now to change the methodology that we have been using to get the right leader, the best leaders, the leaders who can understand our cries. Not the leaders who, when we give them an opportunity, they only dance, they only divide us. Are you getting
How
it?
do we know? How do we know, like, Ole Kiapi, tomorrow he will wake up, we vote for him, and then all of a sudden he start working out some miracles, bring food prices, maybe a kg to 250 bob?
You see, I think I see this problem, it has been contributed at the highest percentage by the media. Because the media, they will rarely focus on these other people, apart from Uhuru and who? And Raila. So I think you should also go out to the villages.
But these are the people with the numbers. These are people
not
with the
with
numbers.
They don't say it with
and
the numbers.
They're serious. They're doing serious campaigns.
Fallacy. So okay, if you are trying now to fool us that we should only go with the people with the number. Remember, since the days of independence, we have been using the same formula. But where are we? We have gotten it wrong. Are you together? So as the media should stand up, like what happens in the European countries, even the US, there comes a time when a media house, especially a popular media house, where it has now to analyze the attributes of all these candidates, so that to give Wanjiko a right platform to know which leader I should go for. But coming up and telling us, now it is a two-war race. So what?
Are you saying we are wrong?
We are completely wrong. That's where now we have disconstructed our electoral process.
But look here, Uhuru, he has votes from Central Province. He has, votes from, Rift Valley. Millions of votes. That's a fact. And look at Raila Odinga. He has votes, millions of votes from Nyanza, from Coast Region, from Western. These are millions.
So what?
Ole Kiapi, what does he have?
Okay, are we eating numbers or we are eating ugali?
But they're going to win. They have the votes.
You see, and that's why these challenges, this crisis that we are experiencing now, the issue to do with the food debacle, it as a result of going for these mediocres in the name of they having number, they are so popular whatsoever. This way now, my friend, we are not doing the right thing. So, as a media, analyze all the attributes of these people, all the aspirants or candidates, the way you will call them, so that you give us an opportunity to know which person actually he has a revolutionary mind, which person can live to his words. Are we together? But coming to tell me, oh, Raila has billions votes, even, no, leave even outside the issue to do with millions. Even let's talk about the billions. Even if he will be given votes across the country. But the issue, the question that begs to be asked is, how will he address our issues once he becomes the tenant of the State House? But the numbers will never solve our problems. Let us not think like an animal. This one, we have to think like the man of the 21st century.
But people like Peter Kenneth, you know, people say they are clean, but they tried and they were beaten 10-0.
Yeah, that's true. They were beaten. Why? Because of the media.
Because they don't have votes.
The way you people propagated and the way the media propagated their narratives of politics. You see, the moment you tell people, we only have 2 people in the race. So it's like now you force others now to be pulled out. Are we together?
Even
that's
people like Martha Karua,
but
the Iron Lady, she tried out. She tried out, and you know, she says she's very clean. You know, she's for justice, and he was beaten 10-0. And even today, we don't know even whether she's going to beat Anne Waiguru for governor in Kirinyaga.
No, she can't beat Waiguru. She can't beat Waiguru. That one I told you in the last show. But you see, if we keep on voting people because of these numbers that we are talking about them, my friend, the food prices, I can foresee now, we are going to buy 2 kgs of unga at around 500 shillings. If we are not going to address this issue as fast as possible, if you are not going to change our formula of electing the so-called elected leaders, that's where we are getting wrong, my friend.
Should we go for independent ones?
Not for independent ones. Let's look for the personalities of the individuals. Let's forget these emotional matters. Let's push them away. Because for a long time, our political class, it has been campaigning on emotional issues rather than the real
euphoria.
Issues. Exactly. The euphoria. The syndrome of emotion, it has carried the day for a long time. So let's come back and rethink the way we supposed to know that this one is the best leader and the other one is a mediocre, so that we don't take jokers. If we have a parliament full of jokers, because it's so amused that we have people who have never debated or they have never sponsored any bill in the national parliament, then now you come out and you say they are going to be governors. You know, these people, it means they have not completed even their first assignment.
But they are clean people, and that's what you want. People with integrity software. Yeah. Software of integrity.
That's true.
Those are the people you're saying.
Those are the people that I'm saying, and we should go for those people.
Before we go to a break, do you see, you know, a scenario, a situation in Kenya where politics change and, you know, all of a sudden we do things like you're saying, like we stop, you know, the issue of Jubilee, the issue of NASA, but we go to the right individuals. Do you see us changing?
I can see it coming.
How many years?
I can see. Just the way the Martin Luther King Jr. said, he used to say that I have a dream. So I think I will dance with the same tune with
50
him
years?
by saying that I have a dream. Not 50 years. It is coming. Even it will not be a wave, but it will be a tsunami of change. Mm-hmm. So let's be optimist and wait for the best.
Now, the issue of independent candidates, you know, Kabogo, all of a sudden, he was beaten by 300,000. And then, of course, you know, Kinduthi Mbogo is here. He was beaten, you know, fairly and squarely. And, of course, Peter Kenneth is here. He was beaten fairly and squarely by Sonko. And all of a sudden, they say that, look here, we're going to unite as independent candidates, and we're going to win this war.
Which war?
After the break.